When we look at the essence of productivity, we're looking at how do I get more done in less time. But why did we never think to stop and ask, why do I need to get more done? It's an interesting thing to sit with. I've been sitting with this over the last couple of days and weeks as I've been doing this kind of digital detox. The more I've went down the productivity rabbit hole, building Notion databases, databases within databases, consuming all the content, documenting the pieces of learnings and storing them in Notion, blocking off my calendar with certain work blocks, stacking my calendar with calls. All of these different things just led me to this place where I was stuck in my head more often than not. I was overthinking and underfeeling, which is really the idea around this video. I felt like a slave in the modern day to my mind. My mind was like, how can I consume this information? How can I get dopamine from this program, this course? How can I go off and stack my calendar with all of these different things to do because that's what it means to be productive? It just never worked for me. Now, I'm not saying that that doesn't work for you. It may work for you, but it didn't work for me. I felt consumed with stuff to do, but I never stopped to think, why do I need to do all these things? I just kept doing it because that's what works, or that's the way to do things. And that's the danger of falling into something and understanding or believing that there's a right way to do anything, because there's not. There's only a way that is right for you. This year has been a big year of unraveling an old identity, one that constantly needed to do to feel like he's moving forward. Productivity is oftentimes related to doing something. If you're not doing something, then you're wasting your time. You're running out of time. We only get one life. All of these different ideas that we get consumed with the more time you spend on social media. But if you look at people like Einstein, if you look at people like Nikola Tesla, these great inventors and great thinkers, they spend so much time doing nothing. And I think that there's a real reason for that. The reason for that is the activation of the imagination, the connection to ideas that are not something that is found in a book or something that is found in a video. Oftentimes we can find those things in those resources, but the best ideas will come from you being out in nature or in the shower or on a walk, where you get the space and time to almost open yourself up and to receive something. Where that's from, that's not the topic of this video, but it's from somewhere beyond what we can comprehend in our mind. So when we get stuck in this productivity loop, how do I stack my calendar? How do I get as much done in as little time as possible? We're just doing all the time. And you never give yourself time to actually just be with what's already here. We lose touch with ourselves. We get consumed by the online world or the computer. For me, when I was getting consumed by that, it made me feel less of who I am, not more of who I am. And over time, as I was unraveling this identity of this guy who just constantly needed to do all the time, I understood that that was directly tied to my obsession with productivity, my obsession with needing to get stuff done just to feel like I was in control. And I think this is really what is underlying within this. When we are doing stuff, we feel like we're in control. It's an illusion of if we just keep doing enough, then eventually we'll get to the point where we have stuff that we want to experience, or a life that we want to experience. Again, I'm not to say that there's not truth to that. There absolutely is. I'm not saying that you do nothing. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying though is that there's a balance that we can tap into. How I really see this is that the journey of bringing an outcome to us or experiencing a certain way of life, it's a co-creation. It's me along with the energy of the world co-creating something that wants to exist in my life that comes through me as a desire. So therefore, if I'm constantly in motion, always doing, then that's coming from the belief that it's all up to me, always. And it has to be hard, because if it's not a grind, then it's not worth it. And as I sat with those beliefs throughout this year, I was like, I've been operating from this belief constantly, and it's put me in this loop of just doing stuff all the time because that's where I feel safe. I feel safe doing because I feel like I'm in control. This year has been an interesting journey because I've been embracing the opposite. What does it look like to let go of control? What does it look like to actually have support around you? What does it look like for you to actually create safety in your body when you are not doing? Because for me, when I was constantly doing, I felt a certain level of safety because I felt like I was in motion. I was doing stuff. And then when I stopped, it felt deeply uncomfortable. Let me paint you a picture. I've been staying in this unfurnished cottage in the countryside here for the last 2 months or so. This has been an experiment for me to live with no furniture, to bring myself back into a state of just relaxation and allow myself to just receive support at this time in my life as I reprogram my nervous system for safety and rest. It's been a really important part of this journey. And I found myself many, many times feeling angry, agitated, frustrated, almost like I was a psychiatric patient in a hospital, needing to do something, needing to work, needing to spend hours at the computer, needing to figure it out. But I know that the growth for me with those scenarios was not to just to do and to give into that. It was to let go. It was to allow something else to come forward. And instead of doing like I would normally do out of fear of like, what if this doesn't happen, or what if this doesn't happen, or what if this doesn't change? Instead of acting out of fear from that emotion, I paused. And that was the most uncomfortable feeling I'd ever experienced. And it happened many different occasions. And it's happened in an evolution over the last year or so. But this part of my life is for me to embody somebody who can be at peace, who can be calm, and observe when the mind just wants to constantly do out of fear or out of lack or just scarcity or doubt or whatever the case is. And instead tune into and relax into knowing that I am taken care of, I am supported. And when the spark comes for me to do something out of excitement or passion, I will go all in on that. I will create a video. I will write something. I will build something. But I'm stopping myself from being constantly in motion. Because when I'm constantly in motion, I can't even receive anything. I can't receive ideas properly. I'm constantly burnt out. I'm not getting enough rest. I feel unsafe in my system, my body. So therefore, that leads me to create incredible amounts of resistance in my life, make terrible decisions, and to just be unfulfilled and unhappy and just dysregulated, just in my head. But when I take a step back and I'm calm and I'm patient and I listen to what my body needs, I'm leaning into the feeling that's coming from the body, not just what my mind is telling me. It's this place where you don't just figure it out overnight, but you learn to regulate your system, your nervous system, and you create safety in rest and calmness. And what do you think that does? It signals to the world, signals to the universe, I am safe to receive without doing anything. I believe that that's really, really powerful, because we then create a state of being that is calm and at peace, not overstimulated or always needing to do something. Instead, we create a level of safety. And then from that place, we allow ourselves to get the spark of inspiration and creativity or passion that comes through, and then we take action from that place. But that's not a 10 hours a day work schedule. It's maybe an hour or two a day, maybe a little bit more, depending on what you're doing. And that is really what I believe that we're here to do. We're not here to have like 8 to 12 hour days. I don't think there's any need for that. Why are we living like that? But what happens oftentimes, and I caught myself in this as well, we can say, hey, I want to work 2 to 3 hours a day. I want to have all this free time. But then when you get the free time, it's uncomfortable because you're so used to doing. You're so used to being in motion. You're so used to being in momentum or being productive that it actually feels deeply unsatisfying and uncomfortable to stop. Because all of these different things start to rise. All the stuff that was in your mind or your emotions start to come to the surface because you're now resting. And when you rest, everything comes up to the surface. Not because it's bad, but because it's there to be let go, or it's there to be looked at or explored. Emotions, thoughts, past memories, like whatever the case is, it's different for everyone. So what I believe is that when we say, hey, I want to work a couple of hours a day and I want to make all this money or I want to have this success, and then we get the free time, that's a part of us saying, hey, there's all these things that I want you to address. And I need you to stop to be able to address those things. So you can let them go and you can really experience the joy and fulfillment that's on the other side of that. But that's uncomfortable. You're in the kind of the void, the gray zone of moving through that, and that's uncomfortable. But that's part of the journey. So then when that uncomfortable feeling comes up in the not doing, we just default back to doing. This is why I feel like a psychiatric patient in the house, because some days I'm just like, I'm so bored. There's nothing to do. And I'm not allowing myself to do anything out of fear. So therefore, I'm just sitting. And some days that's really uncomfortable because there's a lot of things coming up. But that's the path that I chose. Because what's happening right now is I'm learning to receive without doing. So that the doing holds more weight, more intention. It's like giving and receiving. Like for example, if you look at money, like you don't get money, you receive money. You receive love, you give love, and you receive it. You give money, you receive money. Nowhere out there do we talk about money with grind and constantly doing. We just feel like we constantly need to do stuff. Constantly. But you don't ever go out and grind for money. You receive money, no matter what. You receive it from other people. So if we're uncomfortable in silence, it means we're uncomfortable with receiving. Right? And if we're uncomfortable with receiving, then how do we expect to grow our income? How do we expect to receive more love, more abundance, whatever the thing is? So I've been sitting with all of this, asking the question of like, why do I need to do more? And the more I've done that, the more I've got rid of softwares, got rid of just things that I wasn't using, deleted all of these different things, got rid of so many domains that I just stacked up. This digital detox has been really powerful because it's like, we don't need any of this stuff most of the time. A friend of mine shared this great example with me. It's like having a table and a desk with a million cables. And then you go off and you try to find something to keep all the cables together so it tidies it up. So it's like you have this problem and you go find a solution for this problem. But what if the problem is the fact that you have too many cables? Why do you have so many cables? Right? So the solution is not to find something to fix this and hold this together while we organize it. It's to actually just get rid of the cables. Why do we have so many? Why do we need all of this stuff? It's just been so interesting to sit with that. And the more I've sat with that, and the more I've let go of certain things, like I'm constantly letting go of clothes, I'm constantly letting go of just papers and stuff that I've written stuff down on, even digitally as well. It's freeing, it's liberating. The more I've opened up my calendar, thankfully I'm in a position where I can have an open calendar. The more I've done that, the more freedom I feel, the more creative I am, the more I allow myself to just be present with life, feel better, create better things, build better things, I feel better in myself, I feel more fulfilled. All of these different things come to the surface and you can let them go, and it's just an interesting experience. So to let go of this idea that being productive and being the most productive is the solution, I think requires a different perspective. Maybe looking at it through the lens of like, why do I need to do any of this stuff at all? What if I just chose one thing to do well and that was it? And then all of the rest of my free time was spent with myself, with my thoughts, with my emotions. That seems to be where the most growth is for many of us. So if that's where the most growth is, and that's what you're looking to do, then why not lean into that? Because if you resonate with being someone who's constantly in motion, then the growth is in the other side. Now, that won't be the same for everybody. But if this is resonating with you, then maybe that's something to look at as well. Because the more that we lean into the discomfort of what silence can bring, the more we truly step into understanding more about ourselves, but understanding the power that we truly have within as well. That we're not bound by memories, we're not bound by emotions, we're not bound by an unconscious way of operating that we've just been living for our entire lives. When we stop and we just sit with that, we allow for the breakthroughs to happen. And sometimes you'll even look back at your life and you'll be like, wow, how did I even do my business this way? Or how did I even have my schedule this way? Or how did I even live this life? Because you finally took the pause to see it from a wide perspective. And that allows for the breakthroughs to happen. The biggest leaps for you going into this year is not going to be because you did more. It's because you were more intentional about what you did do, and the emotion behind what you did changed. This new era of productivity is going to be one where we are more comfortable with ourselves not doing. And then when we do something, it's done from a different emotion, a different energy. It's more intentional, it's more exciting to us, we're more passionate about it. And that allows the results to happen as a byproduct of that. Different fuel. That emotion is different fuel. So what if we just let go of productivity the way we've known it, and instead embrace the invitation that's right in front of us, which is that you are far more powerful than you know, and that your value and what you produce in this world does not come from you just doing always. You're more than that, and deep down you know that. Let this be the year that you embrace that.